Legends, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from magazine. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today we're talking about the Magus Ascendant Xerath, who was released October 5th, 2011.
Yeah, he's old.
Mm-hmm.
He's older. I think it's pronounced Magus.
Magus, yes, I said it in my head a million times, and then I still said it wrong.
Okay.
It's all right.
Just wait till we get to next
however
week.
You want. Yeah, I forgot he was so old, because in my head I always just associate him with Azir. I forgot that was just something they did after the fact, and he had nothing to do with it.
He had a whole life before Azir,
right?
John.
It's true though. I kind of had forgotten about that too. And then I was looking through the his collection of stuff. I was like, oh, he's got a judgment. That's weird. It feels out of place almost.
Yeah.
I'm
what's
very
weird
curious.
is that he has
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say it's weird that he has a judgment. He has no Journal of Justice articles, right? Not or does he? Did I just miss them?
He doesn't have any. He's indirectly mentioned in the Journal of Justice, not by name. They just talk about this vast magical disturbance in Shurima. And
that's fine.
They leak his news.
There was, sure, right? I was surprised there wasn't some mailbag of justice of Xerath, what do you eat? What's it like? And then Xerath was hesitant to comment on,
That would be the question.
Right. Do you need to plug yourself in, or are you just always so charged?
No, you just need some old ass meme from 2007 in there somehow. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Some old ass
higher
shit.
than 9,000 amps.
Ooh,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
That was the perfect one, John.
It's amazing you just pulled that out. Just
He did. He thinks about it every day.
It's so intrinsically tied to League because that was our old login queue message.
Really?
If the login queue ever got too high, instead of telling you oh, you're 10,000th in line, it would just always say the queue is over 9,000.
Wow. That's great, I guess.
It's kind of charming in its own way.
That was back in the day when you could also bypass the login queue by putting in the secret code.
Up, up, down, down, left, right. Right.
It actually was. There is no earth level.
No spaces.
Yeah,
I feel like I kind of remember this.
Yeah, that was the code that used to let you bypass the login queue back in the day.
I thought it was that it would. It's been a minute since I've entered. There is no earth level. I didn't know if it would necessarily bypass the queue. If it would just allow you to actually attempt to log in, to get past the first client part, because I know it would change it from waiting in queue to play, but I feel you would press play and it would still spit back an error. It was just the way to check if maybe the queue was down. I don't remember.
I think they may have changed it to do that after players found out.
Oh.
Okay, you're probably right. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Fun trips down memory lane.
Right? Thanks, Xerath.
Nico's playing with something in that bag, and so I just assume there's a giant spider or something in there that I can't see, but I'm just
It's probably a dumbass who dropped one of his toys in there and now he can't get it out.
That's rude, but true.
You better put your hand in there and find out what's going on.
No, thank you. We'll put your daughter's foot in there instead.
Okay, whatever.
She had a giant spider on her foot the other day.
Oh.
Anyway.
What's he sound like?
Xerath, what's he sound like? I can't do this. It's echoey, it's gravelly. This is everything I'm not. Okay?
You're echoey sometimes.
Thank you. I'll try it anyway. This is what he says to Nasus. I didn't need to say that. The first word is Nasus. Oh, God, I'm trying to hear it now. Nasus, thank you for your brother. It sounded kind of nice and romantic.
Right.
Ooh.
Thanks for introducing us.
Here's your wedding invitation.
We honeymooned in the crypt.
Right.
We just couldn't wait to get
small,
out of there. Just friends and family, so us. No, get in that dang thing.
Oh, man. He sounded a lot. It's been a minute since I heard his voice. He sounds a lot like Nocturne to me. Actually, that was kind of where
I could see
where
that.
my head went. So he says something like, "Oh shit, what is the actual line?" I kind of have it half in my head. Whatever, it's close enough. It's like, "Syndra, you chase power. I am power."
Yeah, something like that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, something like that.
Power overwhelming.
Nice one.
That was really good.
Yeah. He sparked me a little.
Thanks.
That's how close it was.
Now, fun fact, that is not actually a Xerath quote.
Oh.
That is an Archon quote from StarCraft, but since the two of them basically share all the same quotes, I just decided to use one of them.
No, I didn't even
like
notice. All right. Well, here I go. The longest fucking bio
You're never going to guess who it's by.
in the Graham McNeil. I think this is the most amount of notes I have for a bio.
Damn.
Which it's something we've gone over so many times before, but it's okay. All right, Xerath. He was a normal slave in Shurima who had no name because enslaved people weren't allowed to have names. But he does get the name Xerath eventually, so we're just going to call him that. So, like thousands of years ago, his parents had been captured and enslaved, and while Xerath had a life of servitude ahead of him, his parents still educated him in hopes that it might lead to a better life someday. Xerath's father was killed while helping to build a monument to the Emperor's favorite horse.
I love this little detail.
It was, oh god, it's brutal. It's so true and real and awful, and you just hate the whole empire immediately, right? Anyway, Xerath's mom didn't want Xerath to suffer like that, so she begged an architect to take Xerath as an apprentice, though he'd still be enslaved. The architect agreed, and Xerath never saw his mom again, which, cut me deep.
I like to think she got away before everything went down.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah, that would be nice. Probably not, but Mark.
There's only happy endings in
You said
Shurima,
like
folks.
to, okay? That's fine.
Xerath worked a lot in the Great Library of Nasus, where he met Azir. At the time, Azir was his father's least favorite son. They became really close, and Azir is the one who gave him the name Xerath, which means one who shares. One day, an assassin struck Azir and his family. Xerath managed to save Azir, but all of his brothers died, which left him next in line to be emperor. His dad, not happy about that one.
Still his least favorite son,
Still
even
his-
though it was only his
His only son left, and he's like, I still fucking hate you. His wife, though, was still young enough to have children, so Xerath kind of knew that Azir's life was, like, in massive danger. He convinced Azir he should learn how to fight, and in turn, Azir allowed Xerath to continue his education. Xerath eventually started doing, like, whatever he could to find more knowledge, even some, like, forbidden knowledge. And if anyone suspected him, he would kill them.
Well, he
They
would
said it nicely.
silence
He would,
them
yeah, he killed them.
in cunning ways.
Murder. It seems like Azir might have known, and Xerath took this silence to mean approval. So he just kept on trucking. Then came the fetus killing. The emperor was trying to have a new son because his remaining one sucked so bad. So Xerath uses magic to corrupt the unborn babies. Xerath justified this because he wanted to keep his friend alive, but he was also really determined to not be enslaved anymore. That was his main goal. And he was positive that when Azir became the emperor, he would end slavery. Joke's on you, bud. Eventually, though, the queen did give birth to a boy. Xerath ulted her bedroom, and it burned the queen and her new baby to death. When the emperor came in, Xerath killed him too and managed to lay the blame on mages in nearby conquered territory. Azir became the emperor, and his first act was to punish all those mages who did absolutely nothing wrong, / killed his family. Kind of. So Azir became emperor, did not end slavery, as Xerath thought he would. He kept expanding Shurima's borders, kind of brushing Xerath off whenever he was like, hey, can I not be a slave anymore? And Azir was like, later, man. I've got things to do. Eventually, they got into a fight, and Azir was like, know your place, buddy. Is kind of what he told him. He's like, you're a slave. Go back to your slave duties. I don't know. So Xerath was like, fuck this guy. He's got a new plan now. Xerath convinced Azir he should be ascended. like Renekton and Nasus, he deserved that power. The Sun Priests were not down with this, but Azir threatened to torture them to death if they didn't let him climb like the stairs or whatever. So they agreed. The day of his ascension came along. Xerath had loosened up some magical seals on a sarcophagus that held like some fire demons. So when it broke free, Nasus and Renekton had to go fight it, leaving Azir vulnerable. Azir and Xerath climbed to the sun disk, but before the Sun Priest did the ritual, Azir told Xerath he's free now. All of the slaves in Shurima are free as well. And Xerath was like, that's too little too late, bud. So when the Sun Priest began the ritual, Xerath killed Azir, took the ascended power for himself. This was like Viego throwing his dead wife in sacred waters. That's kind of the effect that it had on Shurima.
I have just a whole list of Viego parallels.
Really?
Really interesting. I didn't even think about it, but it's interesting.
That's funny. Shurima fell, the sun disk fell, everyone fell down, the city burned, but Xerath still finished the ritual. Renekton and Nasus did come back and got Xerath in the sarcophagus that the fire monster had been in, but he was too powerful, broke out, but the chains and runes are still on his body, so like that's why he looks like that. We just needed to explain why he looks like that.
So don't ask questions, players.
Stop asking questions. The chains. There's a reason for him. Eventually, Renekton managed to get Xerath in the Tomb of Emperors, which can only be opened with the blood of an emperor. As we all know, Nasus sealed Xerath and Renekton in there. They were in there for centuries, and in that time, Xerath corrupted Renekton to blame his brother for all of this. So when they were eventually freed by Sivir's blood, Renekton ran off to fight his brother. But Xerath sensed that Azir finally ascended himself, also came back with all of Shurima. So Xerath is ready to be a god, kill his stupid friend, and have everyone worship him. The end.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah. It's
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a really devastating tale between these two people, and there really isn't a hero here.
Except for Nasus.
Except for Nasus. I do love Nasus a lot.
I guess Renekton to a degree.
Yeah, that's true. Renekton and Nasus were kind of a, they didn't want to be involved in all this shit. Yeah, they're fine.
They were just trying to seal a fire spirit.
I am like, I think we have acknowledged that Riot isn't trying to make Azir like the hero, as it felt like when we read Azir the first time. Like he was supposed to be the victim here, which he's super not.
In this story?
Yeah, in their whole story.
Well, I thought, because we get very different stories in the Azir bio.
That's always a it's been so
Xerath
long.
Bio.
That is partially true. I think I look at stories like the one in Realms of Runeterra, Water and Shade to You, and some of the other, not stories, but like, gosh, I guess I would say like some of the Ascension like cinematic or whatever it's called. It's not called Ascension. I remember what it's called. Where he saves Sivir and is kind of granted Ascension because of his good deeds and shit.
Yeah.
Like there's these parts like that, and Water and Shade to You is where he learns a lesson. I assume we'll go over the quick summary of it just because Xerath is mentioned in there, obviously. But these little things that kind of make me think that like, yeah, I mean he's not like 100% the hero, but Riot kind of sees his arc as he'll eventually come around to the right way of thinking and become a good guy. And I kind of don't like. That's the feeling I still get about Azir.
Yeah.
And that's what still frustrates me with him.
I think where I felt a little differently was in, oh god, I can't remember the story now, but when we actually see Shurima, was it like a newer Kaisa story? And it's just like all very dead.
Oh, the Talia story?
The Talia story, and we were joking that Azir was like throwing dead, animals down to them or whatever. That didn't feel, that was a newer story, and that didn't feel like true. Azir was particularly heroic in that. I feel like they're not sure, and they don't know what they want to do. I kind of don't like, I get why they do it for the pain. I don't like that they have Azir free Xerath right before Xerath kills him anyway, because that to me feels like they're trying to make Azir like still the heroic one in a way. And he's just not.
Yeah.
I feel like that was less, for me, that moment was kind of the Breaking Bad where like Walter White got enough money to pay for what he wanted and was still like, but I'm going to keep going anyway. It's kind of like the obviously still not the hero, but like has the opportunity to, be like, okay, well, I got what I wanted. And then it's like, but I'm going to go ahead and kill you anyway.
You mean from like Xerath? Where like Xerath
from like a Xerath standpoint.
Yeah.
I think, from an Azir standpoint, it was never like, no, he had the weak justification we got in his bio, the whole like, oh, there are too many moving pieces to free everyone all at once. People would revolt, and like,
I don't even remember that from his bio. I don't think they ever really established it in his bio. Like, I thought they just kind of like from what I remember, I didn't go back and maybe I should have reread it, but I really thought it was just sort of like he just didn't, and he was working on it. He had a secret plan, as I recall.
They did specifically, I don't know if it was in his bio or one of his short stories, but they did specifically mention that like he had been working on it behind the scenes, but since the entire civilization was built on slavery, and there was a bunch of like upper class people who would revolt and fight against him if he were to just abolish it immediately. He had to do behind the scenes work to make it work before announcing anything. But, which, sure, why not? But it is well established, he has one person in this world that he trusts and tells everything to. And then he had no reason to believe that he would go and tell people.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And not only that, but that one person is also someone who is constantly doing shady shit behind the scenes, is the person who the most is running shit behind the scenes and in the background, etc., etc. It really makes no sense. I really wish that they would change, because it's like you're saying, like, you could change a few things here, and you really could kind of make this make some more sense, right? Like, it absolutely is reasonable that, maybe it is an untenable idea of trying to immediately abolish slavery from where things are at, right? Maybe that's something that Xerath, the person who's pragmatic and a planner and patient, should be able to kind of recognize. Maybe Azir, this is the thing, I remember mentioning this in the Azir episode, but it feels like their characterizations are kind of switched. Because Azir is always described as like prideful, hubris, impatient, would you say, willful. He kind of just does things and expects people to get in line or get out of the way. And Xerath's the opposite, right? So the moment he's crowned emperor, it seems to me that Azir would be the one who's like, all right, let's do it. Let's free the slaves. And Xerath, being the person who can kind of recognize the actual landscape and the situation, should be the one to be like, slow your roll a little bit. Like, obviously he's massively invested in ending slavery, but it's this, that kind of is in line with his character to be like, hey, this is the problem with that idea, right? Does that make sense?
I just killed a lot of babies to get you as emperor. You can't get overthrown right now.
Sure, right.
So many babies.
There's a lot of babies.
It naturally then leads into, what's the solution? Oh, ascension. We need an ascended, and not just any ascended, but we need a super powerful ascended, because in other stories we've seen that the Ascended have their own slave cohorts. They've been fighting the void, so they're not all together necessarily there, like, even mentally. To me, it's like you just tweak a few things and it all kind of makes a lot more sense. And you can write a story that, in my mind, is a little more effective at what this is trying to do, right?
Yeah, because you still have morally gray on both sides. Like, there's still no heroes there, but everyone's still acting as you would think they would based on their characterization thus far.
Sure, and they're just taking the reasonable, logical steps of like, hey, why aren't we freeing the slaves? Answer, because we have to do this, the super cool ascension, right? And I was really thinking about this. I was thinking about this all today, and I had in my mind that I would really love a scene of Xerath sitting down and just like over the course of a day and a night thinking through this plan and kind of coming to like the realization that the solution is we have to do the super cool ascension. And what do we know about the Ascended at this point? They're mentally fucked up. They lose part of their humanity as part of the process. Xerath should know all that, and he should kind of come to grips with the idea that you can't really trust Azir in this ascension, like as the one to have received this ascension power. You know him now; he's a good man now in this kind of rewrite that I'm imagining, but you can't trust him 100 years down the line, 1,000 years down the line. Who knows what he'll be, right? You need someone with skin in the game. You need someone who knows what it's like to wake up and go to sleep knowing that you're someone else's property. You need someone like Xerath. Like, he should sit there looking over Shurima with a cold glass of tea that he poured hours ago, with like the cold, calculating realization that he has, like, Azir can't be the one to ascend. He has to be the one to ascend, and it should tear at every part of him to have to do this. But it's all in service to, ending slavery, right? That's my grand idea for Xerath. Right?
I love it.
I don't know,
Ship it.
But it is frustrating because it's like I could just complain endlessly about Xerath and Azir, honestly, because it's like it feels like we have the first act set up where they're little boyhood friends, and you can see the tragedy kind of on the horizon, and we have where he's at now, but like all of what goes on, especially once Azir becomes emperor, is so like fuzzy and kind of hand waved away.
Yeah,
it's like, but this is the thing that defines how their relationship, like the course that it takes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll have a few quotes from this story that stuck
Sure.
out to me. So, first of all, it kind of opens up with, for millennia, he was trapped beneath the desert sands, but the rise of Shurima freed him from his ancient prison. And I feel like that's really underplaying the service that Cassiopeia had in all of this.
I guess that's fair.
Without her stabbing Sivir in the back, he would never have, been freed there, so...
Do we remember how exactly Sivir is a descendant? Have we talked about this? Because it sounds like everyone died. So how did,
Well, I think we did. I mean, I know in Azir's bio they talk about him having dalliances with many women, slaved and otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Azir was... Okay. Because I was thinking about Azir and all of his brothers and stuff. I forgot that Azir had also had children.
Yeah. Including slaves,
Right.
In case you were ever thinking about getting back onto his side at any
God,
point.
he's awful. He's really awful. It's really just, in general, a choice to make your villain someone who wants to end slavery. Like, it's such a choice. And I get it. They didn't make him a great guy. He did kill all those babies. That's a problem. But that was a decision they made. And I just don't care for it.
That's like anything. It could work. You could do it, right? Like, I think we can all agree on that you could write it in a way. But it's like you said, it's a choice, and it's a pretty heavy one.
Should you?
I mean, who knows, right? Like, I think the issue also is that we're talking, like, when we talk about Xerath and Azir, like, really, there's no story or anything where they're both in a room arguing about, like, their positions or talking or interacting. It's like bios, and then after that, it's a couple of color stories, and it's just like, there's not a lot, right? So it's a really like, it's supposed to, it's very heavy. It's a very heavy, like, personal relationship that's also intermingled with these bigger ideas, and it's something that's like the fate of a whole empire and shit, right? And it's like, it's just so underwritten that it's hard for me to.
Yeah.
This is my frustration also. From my people. I'll have to stop. Sorry, I could just complain all day about Xerath.
I mean, there's a power imbalance their entire relationship too, which just isn't acknowledged. Like, they talk about being brothers and being as close as brothers, and Xerath's his right hand. There's just like you can't. He's an enslaved person. Like, you.
And Azir makes that super clear.
And he makes it clear later.
when
yeah.
Xerath starts pushing.
But it's just that there's always going to be this power imbalance between them. So I don't know. Yeah.
They need. You remember that
ahead.
story with Jarvan and Xin when they were like fighting and talking, and we're getting like Jarvan's perspective on like the mages and why he's so pissed off at him and all that shit, and like, still does some dumb decisions afterwards, but we get like a nice conversation between the two to kind of get both their perspectives. Like, we need that.
Yeah, you definitely need it. I was trying to think, like, if you could write one story for these two, what would you write? And in my mind, it was something that would kind of go over just conversations or arguments, whatever, between them at like 4 different points, like when they're young boys, when they're young men, and like Azir is still not the emperor, when they're like grown men and they're Azir has just become the emperor and they're having their argument, and then like something like a little bit before the ascension, kind of like the color story that we have, but just something to kind of like signpost each of the way, like at each of these major sort of parts of their lives and how their relationship is growing and changing and or deteriorating, as it were. And again, like, just have Xerath just throw as much shit as possible into Azir's face. Like you said, this existing power imbalance between them, right? Why aren't you freeing the slaves? That's not a good enough answer, you know, like shit like that, right? I really want someone to like bring Azir to task, kind of. And I think a story like that will be a great chance for Xerath to do that in some ways.
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like the most to task he's been brought was that little girl in the other story from the It's like it sounds like he was the good guy.
I mean, exactly right. You know. And again, and about Xerath killing babies, right? That's a pretty heavy thing, right, for a character, like especially when he decides he's going to kill a newborn. Like again, you could write it, and it could be really tragic. It should be something that I would imagine, until he's full blown comic book evil, it should be something that like tears at him, right? It should be something that he causes him to wake up in cold sweats at night, having nightmares about the things he's done, right? And he has to kind of reassure himself that he's doing it all. You know, like it could be done, right? I don't know. I guess what I want. This is my whole this whole episode is also my big Xerath apologia, because I just like the way that he works for me is as a completely utterly bereft and just sad guy who is working towards such a noble end, and in doing so has to
just violate heinous things.
Yeah, heinous, right? And how does the character deal with with that when he's having those arguments with Azir, right? Does he not want to throw it in his face? Like, I killed babies for you, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, because he has to know. Like, Azir has to know that Xerath is doing this for him.
Well, according to his bio, he doesn't.
He fucking
according
knows,
to the bio, he doesn't.
Like,
and if he doesn't, then you know, it's like, then that should be something that builds resentment and frustration. You know, I don't know. It's like, again, they should have that conversation. As Xerath should sit there and have conflict internally about, do I tell him? Like, he doesn't know. You know, maybe Xerath has to kind of come to grips with he never actually gave me the thumbs up. You know, he kind of self-deluded to a degree, just accepting that it was tacit approval. But, you know, it's like, I don't know, man. I think you could really get deep into Xerath, and it could be really striking and poignant and tragic. But I know the bio's long, but I need more, way more.
You know I needed a different color story is what I needed.
That too. I like the way the color story is written. I'll give it that. You know, but it is it is pretty minor. I don't know.
Let's see.
Also,
Let me see if I have any important notes here while you.
Well, I just wax whatever the opposite of poetic is. I'm a little drunk on gin, so you have to excuse me. Okay,
Gin's there?
So Xerath,
sorry.
I can't even think of a joke. But look, so Xerath kills Azir's mom, and then he also kills the Emperor, and it's like, could you have done that at any time?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Did you need to kill all these children? Couldn't you have just killed Azir's dad?
Apparently very easily.
Very easily.
Yeah. And he shifts blame pretty scot-free. I mean, and again, you could write it where he does it, and maybe he kind of, in that moment, realizes, I don't know, I was still deferring to a slave mentality. I kind of, for some reason, saw him as
untouchable.
Immortal or untouchable.
Yeah.
But here he is, just a pile of ash. Like all the rest of them. It's again, you get into it, right? I like the idea more also. I really wish that, for some reason, when I've read this, all I could think about was the idea that Xerath is not corrupting infant pregnancies, but is just cock blocking Azir's dad constantly, right? And that was much funnier to me and less sad.
Yeah, this hits. We did not have children when we did Azir, and now.
Yeah, sure. I had that feeling. This is not related. I had that feeling when I've been replaying Mass Effect 1, and the genophage concept is a lot harder to kind of grapple with, I'll say. So anyway.
So the fire spirit.
Right.
Is this around the time that we get that Rise comic book where he's trying to out chase Brand and Shurima to try and get that last rune?
I mean, that comic reads as if it's in like more modern day Shurima, but I will say I do like the Brand connection broadly speaking, because I found a lot of Brand reminded me a lot of Xerath, or I should say Xerath reminded me of Brand, right? Where we've got like a tragic human background, and then we got this modern version, and the two are like, there's such a vast gulf between like Xerath as he is now and as he was, right? So I don't know, you remind me a lot of them. That would be kind of nice, honestly. I would like that connection if that's what got into Brand. I don't know.
Also, there's a quote here that started my ruminations about this, but the unbound power of the sun all but destroyed Shurima, sundering its temples and bringing ruination upon the city.
I did, yeah.
I was like, hey, be careful with that word. If you say it 3 times, you hear hot cross buns on the wind.
You can smell it. Easter Day's coming. Your ruminations on the ruination.
Yeah.
Come now.
But yeah.
Put it on the bio?
Yeah, that's bio stuff.
I think so. My other complaint, because whatever, we'll pile on.
Keep going. We haven't had one of these in a while.
I think it brought back, it just reopened all these old wounds, right? The other complaint is that it frustrated me that Xerath, before Azir even is Emperor, is already doing such dark things. It's just this kind of weird that it feels to me that once Azir is crowned Emperor and then does not free the slaves, that should be like the real turning point for Xerath, I would think. It's like that's when he really should have a marked shift in his understanding of the situation and stuff. And that's when I would imagine would be the impetus to start doing darker and darker things.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird to me that...
I like that. Cause, it just kind of happened out of nowhere that he starts silencing people who are, maybe raising questions about the magic that he's studying. And that does really come out of nowhere. Like, Xerath at that point had shown no murderous tendencies at all. I think it does take something to kill another human being, especially not in self-defense, and this clearly wasn't. So, yeah, I agree that I think after, him having something that triggers that in him, where he's like, okay, well, Azir's not going to free the slaves. I have to do it, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know. I don't know why they wanted to make him such a maniacal, cackling villain in his current iteration. I don't know if that's just because that's what the character kind of was before they changed the bio, and they wanted to make sure that he kind of landed in the same space.
I feel like the old people who liked him still weren't happy. So, just do what you want, man. They threw a lot of old champions bios away.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. It's really weird to me, because it's like, I don't know why you would write something that's so attempting to kind of cast them both in a questionable light, and then, at the end of it, here he is as just this big... At the end, it's like, he goes through the big monster machine. At the end, he just comes out like, I just want to take over the world. I'm going to remake the world in my new image, etc. It's like the most, boilerplate evil villain shit,
Yeah. I feel like that's why they had him locked away for so long. There's like, well, we need to explain why he's just such a comic book villain now, I guess. And he went bananas in there, trapped in with the crocodile.
Coco for Cook. That was okay. So that was the other idea I had for my big Xerath rewrite, was that I just make him also kind of insane at the end of it. Like, instead of this weird megalomaniacal, I want to make the world, I'm a god, etc. bullshit. Just maybe he pops out, and in the way he sees the world is that he's still an old Shurima, and maybe he thinks that the ascension happened and Azir is back, and just have him not be altogether there, and what he sees is some weird interpretation of Shurima, as if he has to stop Azir from instituting slavery across the world, right? He doesn't really get what he's even necessarily doing. Maybe, I don't know.
Because to be fair, that's kind of what Azir's looking to do right now.
Sure, right? It's just especially when we look at some of the more modern stuff they've done with Xerath, I guess Legends of Runeterra, which is sort of an iffy place to look, or the Cassante story. He has, or Bloodlines. he the big thing they've done with him is that he has like a big army of like, I don't know, like thralls,
Cultists,
right? You know, slaves,
yeah.
cultists, not just cultists, but like people who have been like I said, enthralled, like enslaved essentially mentally to his will, which that should be like the last piece of like Xerath's complete descent into like darkness, right? Is that he's willing to do that to someone else. It is so like antithetical to where he started, and I don't think it doesn't like. There's not anything that deals with it anywhere.
Yeah,
he just has this little
there.
army of followers, and it's like, man, do y'all understand what that means for the character to have given him these like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's probably one of the other things that frustrates me the most is that it looks like they've just kind of abandoned any attempt to like deal with Xerath as a person or anything like that, and they just need a villain in Shurima. It's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
There's so many villains in Shurima, though. Why? You didn't need another one.
like who? But genuinely, like who? Like who's an intelligent? Like not like a big monster, right?
Oh, not a monster. I see.
Yeah, see. That's
Well,
the thing.
Noxus is a big villain in Shurima already.
I kind of agree. I think that's probably where you should go more with it if you want someone who's intelligent or something. Or like the Black Rose, Cassiopeia, she's kind of a monster and kind of a person, you know, whatever, right? Like, I don't know, man.
You got Renekton. I mean, it's cheating to say because Renekton is strictly a villain in this sense, just because of.
I think he'll come
Xerath.
around.
I'm holding out hope for him.
Yeah, I have hope for Renekton.
Yeah,
and we do have a lot of other random ass monsters that were just created by Xerath and Azir, apparently. Just fucking roaming around.
And they don't get into that at all. Xerath's weird, drunken, you know, monster factory at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m., whatever.
That's really great.
And it's never, we never figure out what type of monsters there are, but it is said that Azir also has similar monsters on his side, and the two are just fucking smacking monsters
Pokemon
at each other.
that, yeah.
Kasante's just gonna go there and kill all of them.
Right, Mizuma's just fucking stuck in the middle.
Oh man, I don't know. I think that wraps up me for the bio. I think I made myself known. Yeah. Sherry, we'll get into Unbound. Is this also? No, this is by was it Jeremy Reynolds Lance? Anthony, not Jeremy. Why did I say that? I thought this one was by
Probably because you're drunk on gin, Mark.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's Unbound. It's by, I'm pretty sure, Anthony Reynolds Lane. That's who I have written down.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That sounds good.
So this is from Xerath's perspective, and it's essentially going through kind of his thoughts in the moments right before he, quote unquote, betrays Azir at the Ascension. Just he's full of disdain and just almost like disgust and just contempt for Azir and everything around him, really. And as they're getting ready for the Ascension, he's sitting there thinking like, I've got it all. It's all in motion. It's all working. And Azir turns to him and he's like, oh no, does he know? Does he know the horrible things that I have prepared for him? And Azir frees the slaves and he's like, you're free. The slaves are free. Shurima 2026 or whatever the next election is.
Pats his own back.
Right. He's like, I'm giving myself a gold star for this. And the guards salute Xerath, and Azir gets ready to go do his whole shebang. And Xerath is sort of like, friend, it's old friend, it's far too little, far too late. What could have been? I guess I'll blast you with a Kamehameha now or whatever, like
whatever he does.
Yeah, it's pretty short. I had said it before, but I like the way it's written because like every word, like I said, is dripping with, like I said, contempt is like the best word I could use for all of it. Azir, Shurima, all that shit. Xerath like loathes all of it, and it really comes through in how it's written.
Yeah, I know I said we needed a different story. I do also want to make it clear that I also enjoy how this is written. This is a great first chapter to what would then flash back to childhood.
When Xerath didn't.
To a how did we get here moment.
Yeah.
This is the next Ruination book, Anthony. Make it happen.
I kind of wish they would. I feel like they've really left the Xerath, Azir, most of Shurima kind of honestly kind of in the dust, as it were. You know, just I don't know. I feel like it's like you said. It feels to me also like they don't know what they want to do with it either, and they kind of don't. They're just fine to kick the can down the road. But I don't know. But yeah, I don't have much else for it. I wish I had like a good quote to pull from it, but I didn't.
No, me
I
neither.
guess I like. Yeah,
it's good though. You know.
Yeah, there's a few ways he describes Azir's like, because Azir's wearing his hawk like mask and it like completely covers his face. There's a few ways he describes it that I thought were kind of fun. I don't remember exactly like how he does, but excuse me. I wish I could pull one up because he's almost like petty in how he describes like how mean he is about Azir's like armor and shit.
Dumb fucking nose on the face.
Yeah,
Makes it look
he
so
comes off like
stupid.
that yeah. So, but yeah.
Well,
we want to do next week. Bloodline.
Bloodline, yeah. Graham McNeil, which we've read a few times. I think this is the last time.
I think
this is the last champion who is featured in this story.
And also, this is all Xerath is like barely not in it that much. The very quick and dirty is that Sivir, Talia, and Nasus are all in the city of... Is it Nurmazeth? Is that where they're at? I didn't write it up down, actually. They're all in it's some Shuriman city. It doesn't really matter. They're all there, and various shit's going on, and eventually Xerath shows up, because Xerath wants to kill Sivir because she is Azir's descendant. And Nasus kind of informs everybody that this is what's going on. Xerath wants to hunt down and kill Sivir. Sivir and Talia escape, and Nasus goes to fight Xerath, and they have their fight. And Xerath kind of kicks the crap out of Nasus, and the whole time Xerath is just a complete... he's just constantly twirling his fucking mustache. He dropped... Like, this is to your now that I think about it, yeah, the Viego comparison, he drops a house on Nasus, because he's like, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna let your brother do that. It's fucking great. And like I had said earlier, he... Not just Xerath attacks the city, but also an army of... Like I said, seemingly enslaved or enthralled, like their eyes glow with like blue balefire or whatever. So some magical thing is causing these people to attack or whatever. And at the end of it all, Xerath is gone, seemingly off to bigger and better things, go kill Sivir or whatever. And the city's pretty fucked up. That's mostly it as far as I recall.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine Xerath monologuing like he does in this story, but like with his Xerath voice, and I can't.
People would not. They'd hear like every other word. Like,
right?
What the fuck did he just say?
Get
him a microphone.
Was that brother or mother? Is my mother here?
Mom?
Ma?
Ma, I told you to wait by the carriage, Ma.
You're not wrong.
There's also we mentioned the comparison with voice to Nocturne. He has something else in common with Nocturne too, and that's a unique taste that people get in their mouth when his magic is nearby.
Oh, he's got a stank about him.
I didn't catch that detail. Got that stinky
he's
milk.
Got a metal. The taste of metal floods your jaws when he's around.
Oh, your fillings start acting up.
My teeth are fucking vibrating. Jeez. That's kind of cool. I like that detail.
I like that better than the milk thing. Or whatever it was with Nocturne.
It was like spoiled milk and like
spoiled milk,
dirt.
Very specific.
Yeah. So, interesting thing about the story. You mentioned Xerath kicked the shit out of Nasus. It was not a contest. It was not even close. Xerath was going to win this fight from the beginning. Nasus knew that. Xerath knew it. You know what Xerath could not beat, though, is Talia's little stone barriers that she puts up to protect the people in the city. Not strong enough to get through those. And this will not be the only time He is shown not to be strong enough to get through Talia's stone barriers, because we see it again in the cinematic. He's firing ults at her, and she's just like, stone! And it's like, blink, blink,
I've played
blink,
Pokemon, and lightning does not do well against rock types.
That's true.
fair.
She and at least in the cinematic, she makes a big one. It's the big one, okay? And,
You can see that shit from space.
in the story, I almost kind of read it like, I almost, like, in my mind saw it as, like, he was leaving and just kind of, like, threw it behind his back. Like, yeah, and also I'll fuck the city up on my way out or whatever. I don't know why. I mean, that's not the way it's written, but it makes more sense in my head, I guess. That it does like a parting shot.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we only see 2 people actually fight Xerath at any point, since he pops up. One immortal ascended, and one, immortal celestial, although minus some of the celestial powers. Or aspect powers, I guess. Both of them just fucking wrecked. Just absolutely destroyed. So I don't know who's gonna rise up against Xerath with any chance of success here, but they're gonna need Talia. So I think Kaisa better find someone else to help her with the void shit, because Talia's spoken for here. They need her.
Everyone wants to know where's Talia, right? Talia's not on the screen. Yeah. I did like that bit in this story. I always remember it that Nasus was going to go, is like he's walking towards to go fight Xerath, and in his head he's like, we couldn't beat him when it was me and Renekton and we were at our prime. What the fuck am I going to do now? Get knocked over and die, apparently. Is the answer to that.
He's like old and out of practice. Xerath's been doing push-ups in that sarcophagus for 1,000 years or whatever.
He pops out like fucking Iroh.
Oh, man.
Well, we also have a comic called Fall of the Empire, which
this one
is basically just a comic book version of all the events we already talked about, which is another thing that spurred my thought of the Ruination. There's multiple media types telling the same story, but slightly different. An antagonist we all really hate, who both happen to lead their countries, be really selfish, have a more likable advisor who they consistently ignore, and who both attempt to make use of a secret of immortality due to their hubris, and both accidentally end up destroying everything around them as a result. And both end up coming back eons later trying to spread their influence again.
Man, Azir and Viego should have linked up during Rise of the Sentinels. That would have been cool. Like, as if Azir was like just on board with it. It's like, yeah, don't even ruin me, dude. I'm into it.
Don't even ruin me. You don't need to ruin me for this. I'm here. I'm on your side. We're dropping houses on people. Hell yeah.
Specialty of mine.
My brother Xerath used to do that shit. Yeah.
I just can't imagine them in the same room together. There's certain champions that you're like, you two shouldn't be near each other. It looks goofy.
Yeah. There's like mist pouring in from his side and like sand pouring in from Azir's side. You can't see shit in that room. Now he is also mentioned in a shit ton of stories. He's mentioned in Arisen, where Azir's walking through a sand snapshot of the last moments of Shurima and sees Xerath, and he's confused because he's like, wait a minute, weren't we friends? Where did all this big mad come from? Very confused.
I forgot about that.
Typical man, just no emotional awareness of what's going on. Babe, just tell me what I did.
And then we got Darkness Renews, which is the Renekton story where he refers to Xerath as the Whisperer. And he's just kind of rehearing all the lies that Xerath told him when they were stuck together.
Right. I for some reason, I thought Azir was calling him the Whisperer, and I was like, why?
Xerath's always whispering. I only know, like, I only hear, like, a third of what he says.
I think he wants me to not end the slavery thing. All right.
It's something about my mother. I just...
I just nod. I'm like, oh, okay.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah, so he's basically just rehearing all the lies Xerath told him when they were stuck together. He wants to just die, but then he sees a picture of Nasus with his name under it on the wall, and he remembers, oh yeah, that's his name. All right, time to go do the murder shit.
There's just pictures of Nasus. It was Polaroids of Nasus with, like, his name on it.
Do not trust.
Don't
like
believe his
lies. Yeah. And then everything we should have said, the Cassante short story. Cassante is fighting off Xerath's cronies because Xerath apparently told them to kill all non-believers. He and his old flame managed to rock them, though. And then we also find out Xerath's been creating Cobra Lion Bakai to terrorize his village.
Bizarre. We definitely talked about it, but where did that come from?
You know, just Xerath doing Xerath things.
Just goofing off.
What other horrible villain shit can we have him do?
Right?
I don't know.
Let's see. We've got For Those Who Have Fallen, where we see Pantheon fighting Azir, and again, getting just absolutely wrecked. He's along here with a whole army of mortals who are here for some reason. None of them are doing literally anything to Xerath, except being melted. Even Pantheon isn't really hurting him. I don't actually see how this story ends without them all dying, unless Pantheon ults away and leaves everyone else to die, or Xerath gets bored and just leaves him. But, like, they were all getting their shit kicked in this story, and Xerath wasn't even trying.
Yeah. Maybe Xerath's just drunk. He just passes out. He got drunk. He made a few Bakai, and he's like, I'll go fight some Targonians for a minute. All right. I'm sleepy. Someone order me an Uber back home.
Peasants, one of you.
Right.
Let's see. He shows up in Ouroboros. It's a Nasus story where, again, Xerath's followers locate Nasus and try to give him the old Xerath sends his regards. But turns out they all suck, and Nasus is still an Ascended, so he goes ahead and kills them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also the one where Nasus is also dealing with a lot of those whole, like, mental issues that you thought it would be real cool if Xerath was. So, you know, there's a precedent for it. Just kind of imagining shit from bygone eras.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you've lived through a lot of bygone eras.
Well, he slept through most of them, I imagine. Just
Snooze.
whispering sweet nothings to Renekton through them.
But Nasus was awake the whole time.
He was.
Just waiting. Brother. And then shows up in the Battle Mistress, where we hear about the freeing of Xerath and Renekton, and the fact that Xerath's now hunting Sivir. The Butcher of the Sands, we hear about the big battle again, and how Xerath corrupted Renekton in the tomb. Not like how he corrupted those babies in the womb.
Different corruption.
Tomb in the womb, baby. He's all over it.
Ew, John.
Then we've got the Curator of the Sands, where we hear
I hate
same
that
shit
sentence
over.
so much. Tomb and the womb. He's all over it.
Well, he is.
You broke Mark.
It wasn't so bad until you said it again. Like, nice and slow. It really... Oh, shit.
Nasty.
Then we get the Emperor of the Sands, which is the Azir side of the story, which still isn't great. We get the Desert Rose, where we find out that the whole reason Samira ended up in Noxus was because her village was raided by Xerath zealots who killed most of the people, so her and her family fled. The Pride of Nazuma is where we learn that both Azir and Xerath have monstrosities on their side. And Water and Shade to You, that's the whole one where Azir travels to the town of Saikal, which is where Xerath grew up, with the intention of purging Xerath's memory from history by destroying the town, which doesn't seem necessary because the first person he talks to is a little girl from the town, and she's never even fucking heard of Xerath. She has no idea who he's talking about. which is an interesting thing too, because like we mention slaves aren't allowed to have names. His name was Xerath. We don't know how many people knew that his name was Xerath. It probably was like no one.
Yeah, and most likely only when he lived like, you know, near Azir and all of that. Like he wasn't back in his town or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this is just a inconsistency that they're unaware of.
Yeah. She eventually talks him out of destroying the village, though, by reminding him that he's a good guy.
That no name thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, because Xerath was like his right hand man. That probably made things really fucking difficult for everybody trying to work with Xerath. Like, this guy's got no name. What do I guess they just call him slave. I'm sure they said some sort of horrible thing to him, some terrible epithet or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Why was he so bitter? God. Who knows?
Take a chill pill, dude.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear his old lore. Oh, cinematic first.
We'll do a few cinematics first. He's in Descent into the Tomb, where Nasus is narrating the whole deal with Cass and Sivir and the betrayal and the freeing of Xerath and Renekton. That whole story. We get to see him indirectly in the climb. We see Talia using her stone weaving to nullify some Xerath comets. And then he makes a random cameo in Beyond the Bandlewood when Ava's flipping through the pages with Caitlyn, trying to figure out where to go next to find ingredients to finish their float for the big parade. He's flipping through pages and flips to a page with Senna, and then a page with Sion, and then a page with Xerath.
Okay.
Now old lore.
Yes. So what the fuck did he have going on if it wasn't this whole Azir?
Okay, so there's no Ascended, there's no Sundisk, none of that shit was around.
Hell yeah.
He just really liked dark magic.
Okay.
You know, he just fucking loved the shit, couldn't get enough of it. But it was eating away at his body.
Of course.
So he found a ritual that would help him transcend the human body. He did it, but ended up destroying most of Shurima while doing it. A bunch of mages sealed him in the magic sarcophagus and then sealed him in a tomb for millennia. So the bit at the end of his bio, eons passed, civilizations rose and fell, and Xerath's imprisonment was lost to memory. For centuries, Xerath's vast power tore away at the sarcophagus and weakened its spell. Finally, he willed forth a burst of magic that shattered his prison, but its core remained, containing Xerath and his power within its broken pieces. Seeking to rid himself of this burden, he was drawn to the magic of Valorant's nexuses, and found he could absorb their power. Yet the nexuses had gatekeepers, petty mages known as summoners. Xerath knew his key to true freedom from his prison lay in gaining their trust, and he offered his power to the League of Legends.
Man, for a second I thought you were gonna be blue balling us.
I know.
Would have been very on color scheme for Xerath.
Gross.
And yeah, like you mentioned, he's got a judgment. Want to take us through his weird ass judgment?
I kind of skimmed it a little bit, I'll be honest with you. You can help me out with it a little bit. I don't know. I read through it and nothing about it really stuck out to me, but maybe I missed something. But yeah. I don't know. Xerath shows up at the Summoner Hall. They throw him back into his memories, and he is there. I guess he was like one of the various Shuriman mages, whatever this cadre of mages is. And it's him, and he's watching the various mages do their little practices or whatever, and he's not joining them, and he's just all about, you know, kind of like he said, he's all about that power, and you know, the fact that the human body is sort of the limiting factor in being a conduit to this power, and before he can kind of grapple with that, he kind of to another memory of like when he's doing this ritual, and and they introduced in the first part of it this girl, I don't know, named Tabia, right?
Yeah, something
not like your
that.
Leg bone.
Tabia, whatever.
Talia, I think. But yeah, Tabia, who they have like a romantic
Or not Tabia.
thing.
Hey-o.
There's a romantic thing between them two, and so it kind of swooshes over to him in the middle of the ritual where shit's kind of going haywire, and Tabitha Tabia shows up and is like, Xerath, you don't have to do it. We can just hang out and be chill. And Xerath's like, maybe we could. Maybe I don't need to do this. We could have a cool life together. And then as he's thinking that, a statue falls on her.
What?
She gets jammed into a fridge, and and then he's kind of like, well,
statue? Did they tell? If only we knew.
It's a statue of the Emperor's favorite dog.
horse. So it's like a dog, John. A statue falls on her. Jesus.
The whole place is sort of collapsing, like because the shit's going wild. And she's like, Xerath, remember who you truly are. But she gets squished. Tabia gets squished, and at that point, he's like, well, I guess I'll just finish the ritual. I don't know if I don't do this. I'll turn into dust. So he finishes the ritual. He turns into Xerath as we know him, and then the summoner's like, Xerath, it's kind of sucks for you that you did this whole thing so you'd be power unbound, but here you are all bound. And Xerath's like, fuck off, dude. Don't worry about it. Get off my case. Temporary setback. Yeah, he repeats himself a few times, and they're like, why do you want to join the league? And he's like, I want power, whatever, I want magic, etc. That's kind of his motivator. I don't know, is there anything I missed? I kind of, like I said, I didn't get as deep into this one as I meant to.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much all I had too. I think the only note I had here after the lady died was, well, might as well finish. I already broke the egg. Might as well make the omelet.
God.
You're full of them tonight. I don't know, you're getting spicy. Yeah, it's funny going back to his old lore. I was like, I almost hate to say this. I know I've been bitching all episode, but I like his new lore more. I like the ideas in his new lore, giving him connections and stuff.
Yeah, because this old one's pretty, I don't know, surface level for sure.
Yeah,
it's what you'd expect from the time. Yeah.
So
there's also a small short. Well, he's mentioned in a small short story, the Seeker's Tale, which is the story about Lysandra and the sisters, which just references that all that shit happened before the desert swallowed Shurima.
Okay. Sure.
So,
which
kind of a long time ago.
It's older than Xerath, I mean.
Right. I got some quote bits here.
Yay!
So, Xerath's lightning bolt joke is a reference to the LARPing lightning bolt video.
Lightning bolt.
And for anyone familiar with that video, fun fact, I know and have LARPed with the man featured in that video.
Ooh, look at you. You claimed a fame over here.
God's that big of a nerd.
Name dropper.
Yeah, well,
The lightning bolt guy from that meme from the early 2000s. I know him. Yeah.
Also seen on Web Redemption.
Oh, yeah, he was on Tosh 2.0.
A previous joke, which was removed during his rework, was a reference to the Power Thirst video, speaking of old internet memes.
Power Thirst! Yeah, those are so fucking funny.
Does he not do that anymore? Damn, it's been a minute since I've,
Yeah, they got rid of that one. He used to have a quote that was like, power laning, power farming, power kicking, power kills, so many kills, 400 kills.
Yo, I'm gonna have to watch that afterward.
He's got another quote. Power, immortality, omniscience, but no leg room. It's probably an Aladdin reference.
Yeah.
Phenomenal cosmic powers. Live in space. He has a quote while dancing. Nobody puts Xerath in a sarcophagus.
Oh, that is so fucking good, dude. His dance is amazing too.
Yeah. Those were the quotes I had for him.
Hell yeah.
I have a handful of AUs. You want to hear about some AUs?
I
got some.
Sure.
I got some here for you.
Look up his skins.
First up, Legacy. Treasures from days long past, glimmering just within reach.
Treasures.
This one's Runeborn Xerath. which has no lore.
The green one.
The green
Wait
one.
It's the one I always
minute.
play.
Hold on. Oh man, what about that Skarner AU we were talking about yesterday? Or you know what I mean?
Yesterday, yeah.
Whatever.
Don't worry, that's a
Damn.
different one. That's a different
Oh,
one.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Had me
Yeah,
worried there
close
for a
one.
second.
Then we got Battlecast. The glorious revolution is here. Assembling an army of machines with living brains, Victor marches against the combined forces of his enemies, with only a scrappy, human-led resistance keeping him from total world domination. This is Battlecast Xerath. The question of the human soul has always intrigued Victor, and so he set to work building a Battlecast machine capable of harnessing it. The resulting Xerath units are twisted, hellish monsters imprisoned in a cage of psychic energy, constantly discharging superheated plasma towards any opponent in range. Fun fact about this, during the development spotlight, this skin was originally called Lockdown Xerath.
Oh.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. This was also the very first skin in the Battlecast skin line, even though Skarner is canonically the first Battlecast machine made in universe.
Interesting.
Then we got Infernal. Scorching an entire world takes unimaginable strength, which is why the Ashen Lord called upon his legions of Infernals to lend their flames. From the darkest depths, they each bring their own terrible powers to bear, though not all answer their call with the same burning enthusiasm. This is Scorched Earth Xerath. A highly unstable creature born from roiling magma, Xerath possesses a keen intellect, awaiting the day he might ascend through the ranks of the infernal war machine and usurp the Ashen Lord himself. For now, his ambitions remain secret, but soon, soon.
Soon.
Xerath, but on fire.
Yeah.
Fun fact about this one, his appearance and armor bear a similarity to pyroviles, the volcanic alien species from Doctor Who.
Ah.
The Fires of Pompeii episode. The skin splash also features a volcano in the background that shares a resemblance to Vesuvius. So, you know.
I don't know. All volcanoes look alike to me. I'm sorry. I'm so
Same.
prejudiced, but
It's
Yeah.
fucked up. Next up, we got Guardian of the Sands, which I think was the Skarner one that
no,
they
I
shared.
was, I thought that I was thinking about the oh damn, I don't really remember anymore. I thought it was the Earth Room one where it was like Skarner had some partner that he was working with for something. I don't remember, man. I'm
We'll
sorry.
Go back and check.
Yeah.
When we do our AU specific episodes, it'll all come together.
Yeah.
Powerful guardians stand watch over the tomb of an ancient horror so that it may never threaten the world again, but they may already be too late. This is Guardians of the Sands Xerath. Xerath, the liquid light, ancient guardian of the sands, we invoke thee to protect us from an evil of our own making. Let no man tread upon these hallowed grounds, lest you drown them in your purifying radiance.
Okay.
Yeah. Drowning folks.
With light.
With light.
Doesn't sound so bad, honestly.
Yeah. Could be worse.
Could be water.
Could be water. We've got Event Horizon Darkstar. Entropy engulfs galaxies in the yawning maw of the Darkstar, whose corruptants, titanic creatures of a black hole oblivion, snuff out the light of existence in every system they touch and plunge them into nothingness. This is Darkstar Xerath. As the Darkstar continued on its path across space, it passed through a vibrant system orbiting a supergiant star. Consuming all life and light as it passed, the Darkstar twisted the supergiant into a wrathful corruptant. Thus Xerath was born, a dark being of malice and annihilation.
Okay.
It says a short story associated with it, Ambitions Embrace, where after Lux becomes one with the Darkstar, thanks to the community, thanks guys,
Literally.
they end up creating Xerath together through malice, coalesced through whim and breath.
Okay.
Yeah.
They breathe them out.
Is that what they're calling it these days?
The first breath of the creator. No, we blow on each other.
Oh, fuck.
We got Arcana.
He has legs and a face in this one.
He does. He's much too human in this one.
I love it.
High above Arcana, the archetypes, living patterns that shape reality itself, struggle to trace their vision upon the chaos below them. The archetypes recruit perceptive citizens of the world below to amplify their hidden patterns, and the more who magnify an archetype's pattern, the more the world reflects their grand design. This is Arcana Xerath. Ensnared by his own desires, Xerath leads citizens of low Arcana to act on their basest urges. The more they are entranced by the forbidden, the more his power grows. But while Xerath believes their temptation will lead to his deliverance, he does not realize that the stronger he becomes, the more tightly his chains bind him.
Oh, no.
Catch 22. Fun fact, this is the first skin with humanish Xerath.
I like when they manage to do that.
Yeah, it is neat.
Can't wait for the human Rek'Sai.
I think that would be a little harder. But like a Karthus or something, then you can make a more humanoid Karthus. Or human Karthus, rather. Yeah. Something like that.
No, hold out for Rek'Sai.
Alrighty. I did not know he had an astronaut skin.
He has an astronaut skin.
Yeah, it's really cute.
It's Star Voyagers and Astronauts. Astronauts, hijinks, and adorable alien meeps. Defying gravity is just another day for these adventurous space protectors as they defend planet Meep and traverse the grand cosmos that await them. This is Astronaut Xerath. An obsessive chemist driven by power, Xerath discovered the invader Meeps and devoted his life to researching how to harness their energy. After an explosion during one of his experiments, his body was permanently mutated. Now, fully consumed by the corrupted Meeps, Xerath traverses the galaxy, seeking to spread his malice across the cosmos. So look out.
He's still doing that comic book shit, huh?
Yeah.
And finally, we got some fun facts.
Yay.
Xerath is voiced by Michael McConaughey in League of Legends and Boise Holmes in Legends of Runeterra.
Neat.
He was designed by David Vulti Abacassis, with Riot Runen and Iron Stylus providing his original creative concept and art, respectively. Xerath was indirectly referenced in the Journal of Justice, issue 29, Powerful Magic Disturbances in Shurima, prior to his release. He's named Xerath because they wanted something that sounded cool, like Xanatos from Gargoyles.
I love these early, ideas that they had. They're like, I don't know, man. Yeah. X themes are cool as shit, dude. We gotta get one.
They were right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not wrong.
Yeah. After the fall of Shurima, the Sunborn burned Naramazeth to the ground to have their revenge on the traitor, because that's where, they thought he was from.
Oh.
In reality, that's not where Xerath was born, but the only people who actually knew about that were Azir and himself. And now that little girl. Xerath could be considered a Bakai, because the definition is just a term applied to anyone whose ascension did not result in something worthy of being called a god warrior. And since that's so objective, other Ascended would consider him a Bakai, but he considers himself more than Ascended.
Gotcha. Also, it's weird he didn't turn into an animal like the rest of them did. I get it was corrupted or whatever, but I feel like they just needed to make that excuse because he already looked like lightning.
Yeah, they're like, well, he's just absorbed the full power of the sun.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, sure. That's what
Everyone knows that a fragment of the power of the sun
and that
is
makes
a
you
wolf,
a crocodile
but the
or
full
dog.
power of the sun.
Right, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, set it up so that this ascension is, extra special, not just because they're kind of forcing their way in, but, that it's going to give Azir super-duper power, so no one can challenge him at all.
Xerath.
Right? So, Xerath, yeah. Well, no, I meant Azir, who it was originally intended for, right?
yeah, okay. Yeah. Super-duper powers.
Yeah, right? I don't know.
Makes sense. Xerath believes he's eternal, which technically he is, though he could still technically be obliterated, as energy can be dissipated so widely that it can never cohere.
Oh.
So, you know, maybe someone will figure that out at some point. Xerath can be hurt exclusively by magic. He is completely immune to physical attacks. But, that being said, he can still get punched, pushed, or thrown since he's permanently attached to his sarcophagus, which does have a physical form and can have force applied to it. And as a consequence, it will drag the trapped Xerath together with it wherever it is displaced. It doesn't cause him any pain, but it can still be bothersome and annoying.
Sure. That's fun. That's like a nice like puzzle boss. Right? Like you can't
Yeah.
Let's see. Based on the timelines in Realms of Runeterra and his lore, Xerath is between 3,000 and 3,050 years old.
Oh, that's nothing.
Right? Such a baby. Xerath's dance is a reference to industrial dancing, which you can see in the song Pong by Eisenfunk.
Oh.
Not a big
Why that specific song? Is it
Eisenfunk
from?
head.
Is that how they dance in like the music? Like I don't know. I've not seen it.
Why
that
I guess we'll all
specific?
have to go watch it.
All
Guess
right.
so.
Xerath himself can be seen when he performs his taunt. As he disarms the parts of his sarcophagus, a person made of pure energy or electricity can be briefly seen. When he dies, this person disappears, and what remains on the ground are the shattered remains of his sarcophagus. Some speculate that Xerath is ambidextrous, as he uses both his left and right hands for different attacks and abilities, unlike most champions who almost always use a dominant hand.
Neat.
Xerath is one of few champions that can apply crowd control on themselves. Xerath features as the Ancient Ascendant in the Ascension featured game mode, which, you know, I'm sad. We'll never get a chance to play again. That shit was fun. And due to community's popular demand, both Battlecast Xerath and Runeborn Xerath were reworked. They both received new particle effects and colors because, you know, back in the day, they had nothing.
Nothing.
It was like a green skin and like a red skin with just like blue shit.
Yeah. I thought it... So about that Skarner thing, I thought that the Earthrune Skarner one, he talked about like protecting something with some partner. And I kind of assumed it was going to be this Runeborn Xerath.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see.
So
Let me go to my notes.
So, I don't know.
S. Skarner. We're talking new Skarner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure anyway. I mean, it came up in that revisit episode we just did.
All right.
Not the sidetrack or anything, but
no, we got this shit. All right. Skarner, the Forsaken Sovereign, Ancient Guardian of the Sands. We invoke thee to protect us from.
I don't think it was Guardian of the Sands.
Oh no! You're right.
Was it Legacy?
Legacy, right?
Yeah, Earthrune.
yeah.
Once the guardian of an ancient civilization, Skarner was forced to watch it collapse before his eyes. He clings to a desperate hope that one day he and his companion can rebuild what was ripped away. Until then, he vows to remain vigilant, deterring any trespassers who dare threaten the ruins and the magic that pulses through them.
So I assumed this was going to be this Xerath skin. Obviously, it's not, so I don't know who they're referencing.
What a bummer.
Yeah, they might not have anyone for it, so we can assume it's the Xerath skin.
We'll just say it's
maybe
we'll write our own headcanon.
Future-proofing, right? They'll come in and change it later.
I'm sure. Well,
those are all my fun facts.
That was Xerath. Any more grievances to air?
Grievances to Xer. Yeah.
He makes me feel how I felt about Victor a bit. You know, like just like kind of as he is now, where he's just this kind of cackling sort of villain. Is like, I don't care for it as much as something that's a little sadder, a little more human. I don't know.
Yeah, we have a lot of we have a lot of just straight villains, you know. We don't need a ton more. Sure.
It's like, or I don't know. It's like if you're gonna write such an elaborate setup, you know, like it feels like it should be kind of carried through to as he is now. But as he is now, like the Xerath that exists is just completely like almost detached. It feels like from the Xerath that was, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
we just need more villains written like Silco.
Sure.
That's tough.
Yeah, there's room
you had
for
a whole TV show for Silco.
Yeah.
They don't have quite
there's
the
room for
here.
all types. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with a one note, like a Mordekaiser type. You know.
Yeah.
But Mordekaiser doesn't have a fucking 2,000-page bio about, like, you know, following him from boyhood, right? You know, it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's true. Well, that was Xerath. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We have a Twitch. It's twitch.tv/loreheads. John streams on Saturdays. He does TFT and ARAMs with viewers. And I'm going to be doing Friday night streams. Friday night vibes, everybody. Woo. We're going to play some Rift. Does that work for you, Mark? Friday?
Yeah, sure. It works better than Tuesday.
We also have a YouTube. If you want to see our beautiful faces, there's like clips there, little shorts and stuff. John has some fun parody songs. We also post our VODs there a lot of the times. John just did his first Bandletale game. He played for about an hour.
Yeah.
Made a Yordle that looked as much like him as he could possibly muster.
Yeah. Which ended up looking like me if I was a Keebler elf.
So what'd you name your Yordle there, hun?
So I named it Keebler Self.
Uh-huh. We have a Discord. You want to find some people to chat with, play League with, please join the Discord. And we have a Patreon. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons, Mr. Dead and King of Hearts. If you were being hounded by Xerath's goons, I would go up there and fight him. And if Xerath was there behind him, backing him up too, I would use my powers of magic to damage him.
You're not supposed to tell anyone about that shit, man.
John.
You swore us the secrecy.
We're going to be targeted now. I'm going to have to leave with Poppy. We have to leave you behind.
No.
Sorry.
Just kidding. I don't have
secrets.
magic. I'll just protect you.
All right, y'all. Well, please be sure to join us next week as I try to pronounce this word that I listened to a bajillion times.
I believe you.
And I can't. We are going to talk about the Seneschal of Demacia, Xinjiao. Seneschal?
People
know this word?
Weirdly, they were all right.
Was it? Shut up, John. You say it.
Seneschal?
I'd never heard that word in my life.
The sensual Seneschal. He's essential.
And I don't like it. I don't like the word.
He's an essential warrior. He didn't get to take time off during the pandemic.
Shut up.